Hey guys, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Sonic Heroes for the Nintendo GameCube. We've done our extra videos. We really just have one last thing left to do. We have collected all of the emblems, all of the A ranks, and we are still not done with the game yet. There is one more playthrough that needs to be done, and that is Super Hard Mode. Now the thing about this is, it really isn't that hard, to be honest. There's no ranking, so we have that for one thing. And the levels really aren't that hard. There are a few bits here and there, but really, it's not hard at all. Some of the missions, even when you're not actually going for A ranks, some of the missions we've already done are more difficult than Super Hard Mode. But we'll see as we go along. And Omochao has one last little thing to tell us. I mean, he has something to say for all of these, but there's no need to bother with that. What do you have to tell us this time, Omochao? Don't you mean a true Sonic hero? And Tails and Knuckles? Alright, do we want to start Super Hard Mode? Yes, we do. If we hit resume, it will obviously just go back to the same place because we haven't started yet. Now, the main thing that you need to remember straight away with Super Hard Mode is that if you're unable to do it all in one run, which this is Sonic Heroes, the levels are long, your chances are that is what's going to be the case. You only save when you leave. You have to hit quit on the pause menu to save the game. Otherwise, it's not going to save anything. And that I've had some annoying moments where I've completely forgotten about that. I think there was even a point where it happened, like, I must have been in, like, Lost Jungle, something like that, I can't remember. And I forgot to hit quit. And I was going all the way back to Ocean Palace. That was really, really annoying. Now your lives do reset. We're back at 3 lives again. As we've seen there, it's just gone back up to 4. And if you get a game over, you're sent all the way back to the beginning. It won't save that. You are going right back to the start. I don't even know if quitting and then going back in after a game over, like if you quit beforehand, no, it won't, because I believe it saves after you've exited Super Hard Mode to stop you going back in, and you're sent all the way back to the beginning. Did one of them just do like that glitched Thunder Shoot? I didn't even switch formations. They should have been doing Fire Dunk, and they looked like they did that glitched Thunder Shoot thing that caused the Team Blast gauge to go up. So we don't need to worry about ranking, which means that if I die, I don't care. This doesn't need to look professional, because we're not ranked for this. It doesn't matter. I can die. Well, I can't exactly die as many times as I want because I have limited lives, but you know, you can actually die here. But I don't plan on dying too many times. Hopefully, there are a few areas where I'm expecting to die. But overall, Super Hard Mode, despite the name, and despite our glitchy Lightspeed dash here, Sonic, really isn't that difficult at all. Even if someone who doesn't care about ranking, well, you kind of have to unlock Super Hard Mode. But it really isn't that difficult. But there are a few occasions here and there. The first one that normally comes to my mind is Rail Canyon. And Cannon says no to speed formation. What do you say to fly formation, Cannon? It's a yes for fly formation. In fact, because it's only playable with Team Sonic, and actually in a number of areas, all it really does is just make Team Sonic go through a level that looks a bit more like Team Dark's version. Like the beginning of Seaside Hill, that was much more like what it looks like for Team Dark. You know, obviously it changes here and there, but a lot of it just looks like Team Dark. And it doesn't really and there's our first death in Seaside Hill itself. Oh, this really is going to be a Super Hard Mode. That was unusual, because that should not have happened, because I clearly just did the fast descent, which is supposed to be an attack. It's supposed to have the same effects as Thunder Shoot. So I really shouldn't have gotten hurt there, and Tails was definitely clear of the ledge, so I should have been able to have just gotten onto the ledge. So I call bullcrap on that. I don't know why that just happened, because it really shouldn't have done. And why is this one ring here? Or at least I have Tails at level 2 now. So there shouldn't be as much of an issue, but this is... this always happens, doesn't it? I say it's not that hard, and I die in Seaside Hill. Super hard mode or not, that's an embarrassment. Especially when you're trying to say that super hard mode isn't super hard. Now, the concept of super hard mode would make a reappearance in Shadow the Hedgehog. In that game it's called Expert Mode, but it's pretty much the same thing. You need to get all of the A ranks to unlock it, and that'll then take you through every level. And upon doing so, and well, that's pretty much it after that. You only have to do one mission. Oh, thank you, homing attack. So it really isn't that hard for Shadow the Hedgehog either. Although I'd say it's more difficult than this. Mainly just because there are some levels in Shadow the Hedgehog that have absolutely horrendous level decisions, I guess. Decisions they've made where certain gimmicks are. Some really cheap enemy placements for Expert Mode. And this is okay. This is an okay challenge. Expert Mode in Shadow the Hedgehog starts off just fine, but then when you get to like the last 3 levels, it just becomes really cheap at times. I hate Expert Mode. Now it's no to fly formation. It's probably the worst thing about Shadow the Hedgehog. Well, actually, I guess the worst thing about Shadow the Hedgehog would be the fact that you have to play the game 326 times to get the full library. Well, actually, the worst thing about Shadow the Hedgehog is its existence. But yeah, I mean, the idea of having a more difficult version of the level, well, it's hard to exactly say when and whereabouts that really started. Because technically, I guess you could say it started with Sonic 3, where Knuckles essentially had the harder version. He was pretty much the hard mode. And then in Sonic Adventure 1, you had the level A missions, which were mostly just get to the end within a specific time, with the exception of Knuckles. No, even Knuckles was that, and they weren't fair at all. You had to cheat your way to victory in that. No, it was Big that was different. Ugh, I hate those missions. I don't like Big in general in Sonic Adventure, but those were really bad. And in the case of Sonic Adventure 2, for Sonic Adventure 2, the 5th mission of every level was clear hard mode. So, for the most part, the levels were, again, really not that challenging, except for Final Chase. I hate Final Chase. And Cannon's Core, that was a really annoying one as well. But then also just for the A ranks, in terms of the actual levels, they really weren't that bad. And after we had Expert Mode in Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic 06 had the hard difficulties for any level once the level select was available upon clearing a story, and they also had an even higher difficulty level, the very hard, with the DLC. And that's sort of what Sonic Unleashed would do as well. The DLC levels, besides being my least favorite levels in the series, they were generally more, well, some of them were new stages, others had you going through the level again, only it was much more difficult this time. Honestly, I actually think it's the best way to experience the Werehog. But the day stages were horrendous. Like, they are the worst levels that a Sonic game has ever had. It's not... There are moments where it's not just a challenge hard, it's a cheat hard. Because you can't escape a missile, you can't escape death when a missile hits you while you're inside a launcher that has a few seconds of wind-up time. Really, Tails? Let's try that again. Thank you, Tails. You've still got the bad words, yeah. The characters still speak throughout all of this. Now, one thing I'm surprised they didn't do is that Team Sonic doesn't actually go through some of the areas that were extended for Team Dark. Like, they still start in their areas of Rail Canyon and Bullet Station. in which Team Dark actually started further back. The levels are the same there. They do go through a few areas. Mystic Mansion will be going through the spiderweb thing. This is a game from 2003. There's really no spoiling anything here. But we do go through the spiderweb room. We go through a few of Team Chaotix's areas in Mystic Mansion. That is pretty much it, because their levels, because Team Sonic pretty much were just going through the whole level, apart from a few times where Team Chaotix had its own thing, or Team Dark had its own thing. Obviously with Bullet Station, the level would split up at the end for Team Chaotix, and we're still heading left, we're still going into the cannon. But we don't have like any times when we start further back like we did with Team Dark. We'll be encountering certain enemies earlier on in the levels. Like we're now encountering the egg pawns with the spike shields as early as Seaside Hill, and I don't think we've seen a single egg pawn with a different kind of shield yet. Most enemies, however, will still be appearing. Oh look, there's some different shields. Like the zone exclusive enemies will still be appearing earlier on. Generally, if a kind of enemy didn't appear in a zone in a level beforehand, it will appear now. Like it will still be in those and nowhere else really. Like the Camerons. Now, we didn't really have any of those until Grand Metropolis, so we're not going to be seeing them until Grand Metropolis. Now, actually, I think there were a couple in Ocean Palace, so they might be on like certain turtles. And the E2000s, we're not going to be seeing them until Egg Fleet. That's pretty much the only example of when something really changes, I think. Because the E2000Rs were initially exclusive to Final Fortress, but there is one in Egg Fleet. I think it's just one. I think the Egg Hammers, I don't think we're going to be seeing them until Lost Jungle again, and I don't think we'll be seeing any of the heavy ones until Mystic Mansion. So no changes there either. Now, can I complete Ocean Palace without dying? The main thing I just need to remind myself on is to exit the level when I'm done, so that I can save. By the way, this is the lower path, we haven't gone down here yet. I mean, it probably is still possible to go there, and you can backtrack up there now. But yeah, that's the first time we've actually gone to the lower pathway. I mean, I very briefly jumped down there in one of the other teams, but I had no reason to. Yeah, the only ones that really changed, that they really put in different locations, are the flappers. Like, we wouldn't be seeing these guys normally until Lost Jungle, and of course that happened. But we're actually encountering them as early as Ocean Palace now. And that's really all Super Hard Mode does to make itself particularly difficult. It has you face some of the more challenging enemies earlier on in earlier levels. But it really doesn't do much. It will change up the level design occasionally. And again, when we get to Rail Canyon, I'd say it's the worst offender with that, because there is one particular section of Rail Canyon, not Rail Canyon, Bullet Station, that I really hate, because it's very easy to die. It's very easy to die, and you have to be really quick. But other than that, this really isn't that big of a problem. But I would really like to level up Knuckles. Come on, you and your stone shield. Again, I don't understand why I can't just immediately destroy the egg pawns from the back, but no. Okay. Word of advice, watch out for that robot that comes out of nowhere. And make sure that doesn't happen. Super hard mode. I'm not ranked. I'm not ranked. I mean, I'd like to live, and I'd like to get this over with, but I'm not ranked. I like Sonic Heroes, but when you're going for a 100% run, it gets really boring. And yet, this is a Sonic game I 100% every time. I think there was only one time I've ever played Sonic Heroes, and then I stopped after going through the stories. And even then, I later went back to it. Right, I do not like those sections. There are times where the characters have missed the rings or... Okay, that's a new one, but there are times where I've missed the rings. Right, let's attack them from that side. Let's attack them from the right. Or from their perspective, the left. So that I don't get hit by their spears. Now just spam the homing attack when you can. Oh, and watch out in case your teammates decide to do that. So the levels can be a bit on the lengthy side, and we're going to be seeing that especially with Final Fortress. But, you know, final level of the highest difficulty, I can expect that. But the levels can still be quite a long process to go through. But you're not ranked, so should you fail at the very end, you don't need to worry about restarting the entire level all over again. And that is a wonderful thing. Because I really hate it when games do that. Well, I really hate it when Sonic games do that, and a lot of Sonic games do that. In fact, every Sonic game does that. I mean, Sonic Heroes does that. There's always a long level where if you mess up towards the end, you're now going back all the way to the beginning, and obviously, unsurprisingly, the worst offender of that is Eggman Land from Sonic Unleashed HD. I think the only game where that sort of thing doesn't affect you, yeah, you can just fly over here, is actually the PS2 and Wii version of Sonic Unleashed, where if you're not really going to get the S rank in the day stages if you die, but you can still quite easily get them in the Werehog levels as long as you're not sent too far back. There are a few levels that are exceptions, but for the most part they are pretty easy and you don't need to worry about dying. You do have to worry about dying in the HD version because you have an in-level score. And now, something that contradicts itself. The one time we can actually go towards these things in fly formation. Because it automatically turns you into speed formation. Why can't they all do that? If you're going to have a really slow descent in fly formation, let me just switch me into speed formation automatically. And I think that's the only time in the game it ever does that. Outside of a special stage. Like in the special stages we automatically switch to speed formation during the Chow Balloon sections. But I don't recall any other point in the game where you are where it switches your formation automatically without the use of a formation change gate or because you've lost one of your teammates. That is the only time in the entire game where it does something like that. I missed the power core, but in the end I don't think it really matters because we're not ranked. I mean, it probably is possible to get over 100,000 in some of these levels. I imagine, like, for Team Dark it was Power Plant and Final Fortress, that probably also applies here.